Nah, slow down there, buddy. Slow down there, buddy. I ain't gonna give you the team that easy. Relax yourselves. But if you want the issues, then look no further. That's bad. That's bad. Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash the likes every single damn time. Today is a day of solutions to the problems because this team will give you a migraine, no tablet, do you know what I'm saying, to cure this pain. This team, whether it's on the pitch or whether it's with the performance or even with off the pitch, it's suspensions, it's injuries. It's easier to keep up with Kourtney and the Kardashians than it is with this team. It's insane. It's a migraine, okay? Now, we're gonna get into this and I'm gonna go through this team and we are going to find a solution. But before we go through that, if you weren't up to date with the problems, let me keep you up to date with such. Pochettino had his press conference. Now, there was some things of note. First of all, one of the questions was idiotic. Again, another crazy question. It was on the lines of, Reece James and Chilwell are now injured again. This is very similar vibes to what happened under Thomas Tuchel when we were top of the league. We're looking like we were going to have a good season. And then suddenly they fell injured, both at the same time, derailed our whole season. And he was asking, with all this money spent, with this £1 billion spend, why have Chelsea not, sorted out these positions? Why have they not tended to the needs of an injured James and Chilwell with, backups that are of the level required? And I sat there and thought to myself, didn't Chelsea spend 62 million on Cucurella, a left back? Did Chelsea not buy Gusto last January, a right back? What do you mean we haven't attended to the needs of the team? I'm so confused. We have more fullbacks than you can believe. We have Matson as well. We have so many fullbacks. We have more fullbacks than necessary. And you're saying that we can't cope, or we don't have, or we haven't, we haven't put the finances towards this position. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So that was a crazy question. But also what was hinted in that press conference, or what was said, is that Pochettino is involved in the transfer strategy for January. Obviously, there's always been a little bit of confusion about whether or not he's really having, I guess, an influence on it. Obviously, he has to tick the box. He has to give the green light. But the club have obviously got a recruitment team in Winstanley, in Lawrence Stewart, and they're the ones that are going out and getting the players, as they should, by the way, because a manager is not a scout. I've said it so many times, even when Thomas Tuchel was in his first summer with the new ownership, he should not be calling the shots as to who we should be signing. That's the scout's job, to apply their knowledge, their network, and go out there, find the players that are best suited to the system that the manager is putting together on the training pitch and on the match. Those two have to be, I guess, working closely together, go through the intangibles, the player's mentality, the attitude, all of these things. But that is the job of a team of scouts, not for one manager. So Pochettino has to be involved, and I'm glad he is. But of course, as well, the experts need to be doing their job. He needs to be focusing on the team same way. He can't watch top five league. I don't think he can watch all the top 5 league games in a weekend, let alone around the world. Otherwise, how would they know about the likes of Julian Alvarez at River Plate? If these players were to come about again, we would never get our hands on them. So let's move on as well. So that's good to get that clarification. Now, he spoke about Chilwell. It looks like Chilwell's going to be out for about 4 weeks, maybe around about a month. It's not been confirmed in the presser. This was kind of reports that were circulating elsewhere. But it's not good news. Basically, he said, listen, it's not good news, it's bad news. Chilwell out injured again after what happened, pulling up in that game against Brighton. And of course, we saw him come off the pitch. I think we were down to 10 men. So if the player's going to come off the pitch, especially the captain, it must be something serious, right? He's not going to come off the pitch if it's a minor injury. It doesn't look good if you do that. So that's not good news. But he's also hinted at Cole Palmer starting. He's also hinted at the fact that Carney is now back in first team training. We're seeing images floating around. That's lovely to see. Noni Madueke was mentioned as someone that's kind of back in contention to be available for selection. He was not involved in the game against Brighton. I'm glad he didn't really go into depth as to why. A lot of people are having their own, speculation about it, but I don't want this situation to be blown out of proportion. Maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's a wake-up call. Maybe it's a rocket up the arse. Whatever it is, I'm glad that we can keep sometimes things a little bit in-house, give a little bit of a diplomatic, political answer, and keep it moving. We don't have time for drama. I don't really care what the reason it is, as long as he and Pochettino have worked their issues out, or the player has whatever apologized or has made up for it in training with hard work, dedication, we go again. Whatever the reason is, we move. So that's good to see. We don't have time for foolishness, believe me. And then of course we move on to the fact that Nicholas Jackson is suspended. Gusto is also suspended. Jackson got away with it for Brighton because, of course, yellow cards don't seem to matter for accumulation of yellow cards don't matter for the games in the cups, but the red card, of course, will stand and be there sentenced for the cup game for Gusto and now also this game against Fulham. So that tells me that selection-wise, we've got a little bit of a headache because our captain, whilst Reece James is injured, now injured as well, we have a right-back situation that we knew we had to kind of play with a little bit in midweek, and that is a question mark, I guess. Silva was out the team. Does he come back? Now no striker. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of queries. I'm going to take you to the place that we all love, the tactical board. This is where I've been doing my due diligence all night, 24 hours a day. I don't sleep. I don't rest until I find solutions for this team. Come check it out. Tactico's Arthur analysis, nerd tax in the building, in the boardroom. And I'm not talking about the hierarchy. It is time for my explanation to my solution, which is this team right here. Now, you may disagree. Let me know your team in the comment section below in terms of let me know with all of the current factors and all of the current issues at hand with injury, suspensions, what is our strongest team at the moment? That's what we're trying to decide. That's what we're deliberating. That is what has kept me up all hours of the night. This is the team that I've gone with. Now, you may look at it in surprise for Washington in particular. I've looked at Broja. He's only played 11 minutes, 3 minutes off the bench in the last 2 games. If he had played a half an hour, that would lead to me thinking he's ready for a 60-minute kind of cameo from the start and then being taken off. But I think as they're building up his minutes, that 11 and 3 doesn't speak to me that he could be starting for minimum of 45 to 60 minutes. So I've gone with the wild card in Washington. Listen, the Brazilians have not failed me up until this point. Andre Santos, whatever we have been doing scouting-wise in Brazil has been working, and these guys have been looking talented. So at 6'2", he could be clinical. He could be very good in the air. He could have that Rashford, Harry Kane breakthrough that no one was expecting. I'm throwing him into the deep end. It might be irresponsible, but you might actually get something crazy from it. Not every time it's always a calculated kind of integration where it's like, drip feed them in. Sometimes if you just give somebody an opportunity under the lights on a Monday night, things could get scary. And I'm not talking about for Chelsea. So I'm a run with it. It's a striker in the striking position. It keeps the balance of the team. Also, Sterling plays on the right flank. Maybe if Madueke had been in the squad against Brighton, I would have looked at that as more of a viable solution. And then Sterling goes into the false 9. But because Madueke wasn't even in the squad, I think it's a big jump to be not in the squad to then start, regardless of what has happened as to why he wasn't in that bench. Palmer in the 10 is crucial. 2 assists. I know he only got 1, but it was 2 in terms of what was really onside. And the guy's IQ and intelligence and awareness and control and touch and passing range was just fantastic. And there's no better service for Washington if you play a Palmer. If Broja's ready and the medical team say he's ready, then of course Broja goes up front. But he's got that Premier League experience. But for me right now, I'm looking at Palmer as the guy. Modric keeps his place. That's pretty self-explanatory. Enzo and Caicedo as well. I'm leaving Gallagher out of this. I know the armband is suddenly kind of floating around, but we'll talk about that. The back 4 is where the most questions will come. Maatsen at right back, Cucurella at left back. My thinking behind this is that if I was to swap these two and I was to put Maatsen at left back and Cucurella at right back, obviously Cucurella has already shown he could do a really good job on that position, and it's probably maybe best to have him up against Willian with the experience as well, cutting in on his right foot. So that is probably the biggest issue with what I've said with this team. But I'm thinking more balance in possession. Cucurella is much easier to slot into that left-sided centre-back position in a 3. You wouldn't really have Maatsen doing that. Maatsen would really more want to go forward, would want to invert. And then you've got potentially, defensively, pretty weak trio in Enzo, Mudryk and Maatsen. We haven't really seen Maatsen play left back. Pochettino didn't really mention Maatsen as a left back option as well, so that gives me the heebie-jeebies. But defensively, Enzo could be skipped around quite easily. Mudryk defensively, does he track back as well as you'd need him to as well? Probably would be a concern. And then Maatsen as well defensively, like I said, we haven't really seen him go up against many. Now, That back three is quite balanced. Enzo gets his cover in transition. He can push up into the left half space. Palmer can pull off to the right half space, and Cucurella can tuck in, as we've seen him do so often, inverting. And you've got your cover in the left channels. Colwill can play those sweeping balls out to the left as well, whilst Cucurella covers in the central areas. That's how I kind of envision it. You let me know if I'm wrong, but that's just how my mind is currently playing it right now. I really want to keep Colwill at centre back. I know people are talking about Silva coming back into the team, Colwill going to left back, Cucurella then going into right back, but then you've got two fullbacks that can't even overlap. You know, you've got two fullbacks in Colwill and Cucurella at right back and left back that can't get forward. So for me, that's not really how we should be going in mentally into the Fulham game, by having basically two players on the fullback positions that can't push forward. So Cucurella is the one that stays stationary. He holds it down. He gives Enzo even more freedom to get forward, to play those lovely passes, to help Mudryk with some, some extra, extra option to be an outlet. But like I said, and to also hopefully play, this is the key. If Enzo's free, he could play those passes hopefully in behind to Mudryk, as well as Colwill can as well. So there's a lot of options hopefully there in terms of vision, playing the ball early. You've got two of the best passers in the team, given the freedom because of Cucurella. Maybe the same freedom Maatsen wouldn't give them. Maatsen on this side is obviously helped by Caicedo. Caicedo did, play the right back position against Arsenal at the Emirates. He did cover, deal with Martinelli quite well as an inverted right back coming inside and providing that balance. And he could easily help Maatsen out in that position and double up. And also Maatsen, if he was to swap it round in possession and get further forward, I'd probably want Maatsen probably going further forward than Caicedo, and he'd be hanging back a little bit. Cucurella hanging back. You've got those four. Maatsen has shown he's very versatile. Any job you ask him to do, mentality's on point. The guy wants to hopefully stay. I think he's playing his cards right by not signing that new contract just yet, until Chelsea figure out what they're doing with Cucurella, figure out if they're going to give him minutes. But I think his attitude is spot on. He's looking forward to hopefully making his first start, and he's shown in pre-season as well. He's willing to play for the team, willing to play wherever needed. Very versatile, technical player. The only thing I don't like about what I've gone with is the Willian versus Maatsen 1v1. I'm not going to lie. But it's Maatsen coming in on his left foot. Decisive will give him some cover. Caicedo is there as well. That's the only weakness. But for me, I think the rest of it, I've made sense. I've tried to, at least anyway. Like I said, Sterling, false nine, it could happen. Broja could start. There's options here. Gallagher could start. But if I'm giving the captain's armband to someone, it's the man who gave the quotes that said, listen, I want to lead this team, in the coming years, weeks, months. I want to lead this team. And I think Colwill has captained under 21 England teams, or under 18 England teams, under 17. He has been a leader before. He has the quality to back it up, which is key for me. He can be already clearly a starter. He's shown his range of passing is ridiculous. I need a captain who's got the quality to lead and also the leadership skills, not just one and not the other. For me, Gallagher is not even a shoe-in to start, and he's not in my team, let alone wearing the armband. You've got to have a certain level of potential at least to be wearing the armband for me to be telling others what to be doing. And yeah, I think Colwill's got more experience as a leader than him anyway. So that's my team. That's my solution. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you'd swap. I'm sure a lot of people will say, listen, just leave Cucurella at right back. He did a great job. He'll defend against Willian 1v1. That is making sense. Maatsen on left back, bombing forward. Maybe then you just swap Caicedo and Enzo around. But the only thing is then when Enzo's pushing forward, Palmer's kind of in that left, that right half space. They're kind of getting on top of each other there. So maybe you just swap them around to provide balance. There's only two issues here for me. It's Maatsen versus Willian, and it's also then Maatsen, Enzo, Mudryk defensively on the left-hand side. So give or take which one you prefer to take the risk on. But big up your damn selves. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And we will be there for this game Monday night. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace. Bye.